If you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, one meal, it's all you can have for the rest of your life, what's it going to be?
Tacos.
Launch sequence activated.
Welcome to CelinaRadio.com. I'm your host, Ron Lyons, and if you think that Celina, Texas is just a quiet little sleepy town with absolutely nothing going on, then you better buckle up, because Celina Radio is about to launch.
3, 2, 1.
Guys, thank you so very much for tuning in to another episode of CelinaRadio.com. And we've got a very special guest today for you, somebody who's running for school board and who happens to also be the president of the Greater Celina Chamber of Commerce. That's right, we've got Melissa Cromwell today, and I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. Now, as you know, it's political season, and I'm trying to get all the candidates in. We have two that are not going to be on the show. They don't think I can put my political beliefs and views aside. So, ultimately, I'm just going to chalk that up to that's their loss. But the ones who are coming on the show, I'm doing my level best to give you some insight into who they are as people. If they want to talk about some of their political views and perspectives or what's going on in the race, they're more than welcome to. But I've got something coming up very soon that I think you're definitely going to want to listen to, and that is my interview with our current mayor, Sean Terry. And let me tell you what's so unique and special about this. It's not one of my typical feel-good, have fun kind of podcast episodes. Quite the contrary. On this one, he said, take me to task, ask me the hard questions, and guess what? I did. But that's not for today. Today, we've got Melissa Cromwell. Guys, I'm here right now with Melissa Cromwell, and you know her because she's with the Chamber of Commerce. So, Melissa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm really, really good. So give me an idea. What's the official title that you have with the Chamber of Commerce?
I am the president of the Greater Celina Chamber of Commerce.
The president. And something that I think a lot of people don't know is that the Chamber of Commerce, that's not actually like a city office. So explain that relationship between the chamber and the city.
Yes. So the Chamber of Commerce is its own 501c6, so we are a separate entity from the city of Celina. Now, we do work very closely with them on lots of things. We call ourselves the three-legged stool, the EDC and the city and the chamber, because we do work so closely. So I think people sometimes confuse that fact. But I do not work for the city of Celina. I am employed by the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, that's very, very awesome. And how long have you been in your role over at the chamber?
So I've been there 9.5 years at the Chamber of Commerce.
Been there 9.5 years. And so you've seen a lot of changes during these 9.5 years. And we're going to get into some of that stuff with the chamber in just a second. But you got something else crazy going on in your life right now. You've got yourself into a little election that's going on right now. So tell us about that. What's going on with that?
So, yes, so the Celina ISD, of course, the Bobcats are a passion of mine and a passion of my family's. Once that I got involved with the chamber years ago, I made sure that relationship with the school was there, because it's so important that our business community is involved with our school district, because we want to make sure that we are supporting them and they're getting the resources that they need, because we are a wealth of knowledge. So in doing so, I got involved in so many aspects of the school district. I sit on the naming committee. I sit on the Bobcat Council. I sit on the for the new school for the long range planning committee. I sit on the career and technical education committee. I sit on another council at another school. So I got so involved with the school district. We started doing career days and We did the Bobcat Boot Camp with the school this last year. So we do the tailgating at the first home football practice when they wear pads. So I got so involved in everything. I thought, well, you know what? I think it's time that now that I take that one step further. I was looking for something for me to do, not just as the chamber president, but me as Melissa and a wife and mother. Before we moved here, I was very involved in nonprofits. I've always worked for a nonprofit, but I was very involved in other nonprofits and volunteered a lot of my time outside of work. So I hadn't really found that one thing to volunteer for myself and for my family. And so I prayed about it, and I met with different nonprofits to kind of see what they were doing. But then in the end, the school board and running for school board was just up at the front for me. Since I have a third grader and all of this growth, I knew that I wanted to fight for her, that whatever happened in all of this, that she would come first. So I decided last year that that's what I was going to do, that when it became available this year, that I was going to run for school board.
Okay, and so maybe a question that maybe I shouldn't ask this. We're not going to get deep off into politics too much, but we are going to talk a little bit about it because it's kind of what's going on right now. And politics are like a big deal in this town right now. In case, you may not have noticed that, but it's a little insane out there right now. So I'm very, very curious. Why did you decide to run against your particular opponent? Was there some decision making, some reason for that? How did that happen?
Sure. So last year, the school board actually had an opening. They had a school board member who stepped down because he moved out of state. And so they had an opening. And I applied for that opening because they were choosing that from an application process. So at that time, I applied for that opening. And of course, I didn't get it. They chose a wonderful person, Jarrett Calvert. So I decided then, well, I'm going to look and see what other people will be up this next year and how I want to proceed with that. And in the meantime, I met other people out in the community that said, I'm going to run for school board next year as well. And so in talking with them, they were like, who are you going to run against? Who are you going to run against? What are you going to do? And for me, knowing my opponent personally, it just made sense for me because he doesn't have any kids in the school district anymore. He's been on the board a long time. And his kids are often graduated. And I thought, you know what? My daughter is still in school. I think it's super important that you're still engaged as a parent in the school district. So I told him months ago that I was planning on running against him. And that was the only reason why. It's because he did not have kids in the school district.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. So like I said, we're not going to get crazy off into politics. If you want to do that, there's these boards on Facebook. And you can go out there and just see how sometimes it seems like those of us in Celina hate each other, but that's not the truth. You know better than that. I know better than that. But people get very passionate about their politics, and that's kind of going on right now. It'll all be over around May the 6th, and hopefully everything starts to calm down. But since we're not going to talk about that, guess what we are going to talk about? We're going to talk about Melissa Cromwell. So people like to tune in. They like to learn a little bit about people. So I know how long you've been here. I know what you do right now, but we're going to get a little more in detail with, some of the little facts about you. So being that you are the president of the chamber, this question is going to be one that people are going to find very interesting. Where would Melissa Cromwell like to eat? And we already know that everything in Celina is awesome.
Yes.
So we're not choosing one because the rest are not great. But I just want to know personally, we want to know personally, where would you like to eat?
Okay, so this may sound funny, but sometimes I would rather not go to a restaurant, but I will order something from each restaurant that I like.
Yeah.
I will go to Millie's and I will order their house salad with their house dressing.
Okay.
And then I will go to Tender and get their mac and cheese.
Okay.
And then I will go to Lucy's and get their fried pickles. And that's just, or their fried mushrooms, depending on what kind of day I have had. And then
Right.
I will go to Toasted Walnut and get their chicken and avocado. And I will go to Bongo Bo's and get a cheeseburger.
Oh my
And
gosh.
So I have my favorites.
Right.
I will even sometimes call Doggo and order dessert pizza because I just have my favorites at each restaurant. And if I had my choice, that's what I would do is I would go get all of that stuff and then go home and pig out on all of it.
I'm just sitting here thinking, so if Melissa Cromwell says, hey, we're going to have dinner, come on over and have dinner. It's going to take her an hour and a half to collect everything because she's got to go to like 10 different restaurants to get it.
Yes.
But do you do any cooking at home? Is that something that you typically do, or is that
Absolutely.
something?
No.
You do?
I was born and raised. My mother is an amazing cook, and at a young age, she had to go back to work, and so I started making meals for my family. I love to cook. I love to bake homemade breads and cinnamon rolls, and I can cook anything. We have our staples. My kids will tell you growing up that I plan out a menu a month in advance when my older two were at home, and I grocery shopped for the whole month, and we had a calendar. You knew what you were going to eat every day because everything was scheduled out. For weekend meals, we knew what nights we were going to eat out, but every other meal we made at home. My daughter always says, is this homemade? And I'm like, yes, ma'am, it is.
That's so awesome. So you don't really have to go to any of these restaurants. You could do anything you want in the kitchen and make a great meal. But there's some amazing things out there. So sometimes you got to go get the fried pickles, right?
I don't have a fryer. So yes, sometimes you just have to get the fried pickles from Lucy's.
Right. And I typically ask people whenever they come in here and they sit down for an interview, I say, do you participate in all the events that happen on the square? In your case, you participate in nearly every single thing that happens on the square. So what's it like being on your side? You're the behind the scenes on so many things, the wine crawl and the Cajun Fest and everything else. So tell us what it's like being on the other side of that.
So there's so much planning that goes into every event, and I couldn't do it without my committees. We have a committee for everything, and those are all volunteers, people who are taking out of their own time to help us. So I couldn't do it without them, but there's tons of planning that go into wine crawl, Oktoberfest. The Chamber partners with the city on Cajun Fest, Splash and Blast, Beware the Square. So we are always working on an event. I met with the city yesterday about it. So we are always working on an event behind the scenes.
So you've got all of those things that you work on. Do you have a personal favorite event of all those? Like one that you're just like, I really, this one's kind of near and dear to my heart. I love this one. What's one of your favorites?
Well, of course, Oktoberfest is my favorite event. We used to do, so the Chamber of Commerce used to put on the Balloon Festival for 20 years. And when it just didn't become, it wasn't financially feasible for everybody in town because people were coming to the Balloon Festival. They were going to Old Celina Park, and then they were leaving, and nobody was coming downtown, and nobody was even getting gas anywhere. So no tax dollars were being made in town that day. So at the Chamber, we were like, okay, we really looked at what is our mission. And our mission was to make sure that we were helping the businesses in our community. So we came up with Oktoberfest. Mark Metker, I'm not gonna lie, it was Mark's idea. Mark started it in Addison, and it was his idea. So we started it just so we could bring the business downtown to the businesses. And it is so fun. The whole day is just, there's something for everybody. And I laugh so much. And it's fun to get dressed up, and it's in our costumes, and it is just so fun.
So I've enjoyed most all of those events, sometimes several years in a row now, things like that. And I love that one too. I absolutely love every bit of that. In fact, I've done a few videos on it, as you know, and those things always get high view counts. People love that sort of thing. So would you agree that doing those things, like having our events on the square, isn't that just part of hanging on to our small town feel and keeping this this Celina as we know it alive? Isn't that all part of that?
Absolutely. And as we get bigger and bigger with our events, we could move them back out to the park. But why should we when we can just expand what we're doing downtown? I want people to see our downtown. People don't realize what an attraction it is. And if they can't visit everything that day, I'm hoping to put it in their brain that in a couple weeks or in a couple months, they're going to come back and visit the downtown and spend the day.
Absolutely. And we all know that the growth is coming. I mean, it's here. It's been coming for many, many years. You've seen a lot of changes so far. So how do you feel about all of this growth? Are you kind of like, man, it's not great, but I understand it? Or are you like, hey, you know what? Come on, love it. Where does Melissa Cromwell stand with the growth?
Well, I'm kind of in between. I know it's coming. Like, I've worked with the city and the EDC so long that I know it's coming. But when I actually see it, I think it's kind of a surprise and a shock to me that we've been working and planning on it for so long. When it's actually there, I get a little bit of anxiety because I think, oh my gosh, especially when things pop up quickly. I'm like, oh no, here it is. And I always tell people when they're online and asking for, oh, we want this and we want this. And I'm like, oh, slow down. I want it to be done right. And so I just want things to come in at a good pace.
Right.
Because I don't want any business that moves into town to feel like they aren't welcomed. And if I miss someone, then I feel like I'm not doing something right, that my staff's not doing something right. I want to make sure that we're making everybody feel welcome.
I like that. I like that philosophy. And of course, you also work with a board. Is that the correct term for it?
Yes.
There's a board
of directors.
Board of directors. And you actually, what's the relationship between, say, your position and the board of directors?
So I report directly to the board of directors. There are 11 board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce, and I report directly to them. So they're my bosses. I have 11 bosses.
You have 11 bosses, and I have heard Alexis Jackson say something similar, that
yes.
she works for many people as well, the EDC board. So that's kind of how that is. And you've got different things that you do. Like you said, you partner with the city, partner with the EDC, work on these different events and functions and things like that. So would you say that the Chamber of Commerce in Celina has a really good relationship with the city and with the EDC?
Yeah, absolutely. We meet on a monthly basis. We partner on lots of things, state of the city. There's the EDC roundtable discussions coming up. I have gone to them to conferences to help to run a booth for people asking questions about Celina. We did a customer service training called the Fish Training a couple of months ago in January that we're going to be now sharing with our members this summer. So we do a lot of things together.
That's awesome. So we've talked a lot about, Chamber of Commerce and stuff now. We're going to get into a little bit about Melissa Cromwell. So tell me this. Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in a small town in Kansas, north central Kansas. It's called Talmadge. It's a town of 150 people.
Big town. Very, very big town.
So I went to a country high school. So in a town next to us, all the country kids went to the high school in Chapman, Kansas. So that's where I graduated from.
Gotcha. And so when you're in high school, there's these little cliques, like you've got kind of the people who are into this or into that. I don't know how your high school is divided up, but what would you relate to more back in those days? Like, were you like a rock and roll kid? Were you a country kid? Were you a sports person? What would you say you were in high school?
So I was very athletic in high school. I ran track. I played volleyball. I played basketball. I played softball. So I was part of the athletic group, but I was also part of other groups as well. I always tell my kids ask me, were you popular in school? And I said, well, I was nice to everybody and I liked everybody. So I got along with everybody. So I don't know if I was in the popular kids group, but I had friends that did lots of things. When I was in high school, we still had a smoking section outside, I
remember that.
So I had friends who smoked, and so I would go out and hang out with them sometimes. It didn't really matter. I mean, I loved all of them. So I really had a great relationship with them, but I was an athlete in school, and so I do have that side, and I also I went to college on an athletic scholarship as well.
Oh wow, that's very awesome. So what sport was that for the college?
Track and field.
Oh wow, very, very interesting. That's probably one of those little known facts that maybe not everybody knows about Melissa Cromwell. So now I'm not even going to ask you that question because we just answered it right there. So that's very awesome. And I know that you have a son who has maybe recently joined the military. Is that right?
So he's been in the Marines 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so not that recent. He's been in for a minute now. So tell us about, and it's your son.
Yes, my son Karsten.
Okay, tell us about that. How does it feel being a military mom in this day and age?
That just gave me goosebumps. So, so for us, and this is one of the things that I am so passionate about with the school, is that when he was growing up, he always had a choice to go into the military. For us, we said you can go to college, you can go to community college, you can go to technical school, or you can join the military. For us, it was always an option or a choice because my husband is an Army veteran. So not one time did we ever not say, if you want to join the military, we will support you 1,000%. And so when he was a senior during COVID in 2020, he came to us and said, I just want you to know, with all this COVID stuff, I don't know what college is going to look like. I'm going to join the Marines.
Wow. And your response was receptive.
We were so proud of him. I mean, proud and sad at the same time, because when your kids go off to college, like, you still get to see them on the weekends. If they come home, you can go visit them at college. They get to come home for holidays. But when your son joins the Marines, like, they go to boot camp and you don't even get to talk to them for 16 weeks.
Wow.
Like, no, you can write them letters, but you don't get to see their face. You don't get to talk to them for 16 whole weeks. And this is someone who has lived with you every day for the past 18 years of their life. And
absolutely.
And when he joined during COVID, with all the restrictions, we weren't allowed to go to graduation. When he got his first, his papers to go to his first base, the bases were closed because of COVID. So we still couldn't even go visit him then. So when he left in September of that year for boot camp, we didn't see him until March of the next year.
Wow. Okay, well, you know what? Much respect to your son for his service. To me, there's no higher calling. So not everybody sees it that way, but I do. And I know the sacrifices that our people give in the military, similar to law enforcement. There's just certain positions, certain things you do that just demand respect just by default, and that's one of them. So tell me this. You've got a very busy life. I mean, you have so much stuff going on. There's no way you can run the Chamber of Commerce in the 5th fastest growing city in the United States, right? And not be crazy, crazy busy. So tell me, what do you do for fun?
For fun.
She's like, wait, I don't have fun. I don't have time.
I do. And I actually told the women's group this morning, the Chloe women's group of the Chamber, what time they could have fun and when they couldn't, because they have to network. It's not net funding, it's networking. So, oh my gosh, I'm a lot of fun. The Celina Chamber is a lot of fun. I work a lot of nights and evenings doing events for the Chamber, doing events in the community. That is fun for me. But for fun, I have Caitlin. Caitlin is 9 years old, and she is such a unique personality. And imagine she grew up with teenage siblings, and she is like a little adult. And she's always like, what are we doing today? What are we doing tonight?
Yep.
Like, she is so fun. And she plays volleyball, and she wants to cheerlead, and she wants to dance. And we'll go down to the park and just practice volleyball with her, or shoot some basketball around, or just go play. She loves to ride her bike. And so we go on lots of walks while she's riding her bike. And, that girl loves to shop too. I'm telling you, she loves makeup and jewelry. And so she's always like, Mom, let's go shopping. Her favorite store is Five Below. So I'm like, girl, let's go. We have so much fun, and we'll straighten each other's hair, and she'll put makeup on me, and she is the best at makeup.
Wow.
Holy moly. She watches video tutorials, and she does my makeup sometimes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's better than me. So Caitlin and I have a lot of fun together, and Scott and I still date, my husband. So once a month, we have date night.
I love it.
We date. We love to do fun things when we date. And so he is a lot of fun. And I keep saying that, but we have a really good time. Our family has a really great time. My daughter and her husband are a lot of fun as well. And we love to hang out with them and go to their house and hang out. So we do. Most of my fun time is spent with my family.
That's super, super awesome. It sounds like you've got a really happy life.
Yes.
And that's always a good thing. And you've chosen Celina as your home. And so why? What is it about Celina? Like, why Celina? There's a whole country here. We've got all these states and all these great places. Why Celina, Texas?
Well, when my husband first got transferred in his job and was told that he had to pick a place to live, he could no longer work from home, we came down here to the Dallas area, and I am the spreadsheet queen. So I did a spreadsheet of all the schools around Dallas, from their class size to school size to class size to feeder schools, grade schools into middle schools into high schools, their school rankings. I did a huge spreadsheet, and Celina wasn't even on there. But then when we started looking in Prosper, somebody said, "Hey, have you looked at Celina?" And we were really dead set on living in Prosper, but the real estate lady was like, I think you should look in Celina. And I was like, Celina? What is Celina? I was born, fun fact, in Celina, Kansas. So,
oh, wow. Very, very interesting.
So I was like, okay, well, this is kind of a sign. So we came up to Celina, and the first place we stopped was the Chamber of Commerce, because I had volunteered for local chambers where we lived for many years, so I knew they would have information about the city. And Cleve Razor was in that office. That's where the chamber used to be, in Cleve's office. And if you know Cleve Razor, he is the most welcoming individual, so kind, and he welcomed us into his office with open arms, started talking about Celina, what Celina was about, and we hooked us up with a real estate agent like Andy McAnally within like 10 minutes. And we just looked at each other, my husband and I, and we knew, because we were from small town Kansas, and we knew this is where we wanted to be.
That's very, very cool. What a great story. And that's kind of epitomizes exactly what the spirit of Celina is. It's so welcoming, and it's just so kind. Not in political season. Okay, I'm gonna put a little parentheses around that. Not during political season, and even that stuff with the political stuff. It's kind of like the same small groups out there, trying to take each other down at the knees. So notwithstanding that, this community is absolutely incredible. Celina is absolutely amazing, and so we're very, very glad to have you here. We're very blessed in this community to have you. I've been a member of the chamber. Love everything you have going on. Love the events downtown. There's just everything about it is just a big part of the growth of Celina, Texas. So you probably already know this, but we always do something kind of fun, right? On CelinaRadio.com. You've probably heard that before. So right now you have to wonder, is he going to pull out a game? Am I going to get blindfolded? Or, what exactly is going to go on? So Are you nervous at all about that?
No.
Are you sure about?
I'm not really a nervous person.
All right. Well, that makes me happy. First of all, how would your family and friends describe you? She's pausing. She's thinking.
I think it just depends on who you ask.
I think the real answer is the one that you're not telling me right now.
They're going to say she's crazy. So, because I'm always asking people to do things that they wouldn't normally do, to think outside the box. And they're like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, "No, I think we can make this happen." And
nice.
I do that everywhere, not just at work, but
even to your family members.
Oh, absolutely. My kids are always like, "Mom, really?" And I'm like, "Yes." And even my adult children are like, "Mom," and I'm like, "I know, we should take a family picture like this." And they're like, "Oh my gosh."
I like it. Okay, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word is no.
Okay.
Would you like me to explain that? So
I have to know why.
So it's very hard for me to say no to people. If people are always asking me to do something or to participate in something, and your kids are always asking for something. So I have a really hard time saying no. It's a boundary thing for me. I work all the time. I do things all the time. So if no is an important word for me to try to stick with my boundaries. So no. I like when I can say no, I literally pat myself on the back and I'm like, Okay, that was good. You said no. I know you really wanted to do it, and you don't have time. You could have fit it in. Good job saying no.
I like it. I like it. You didn't tell me no when I asked you if you wanted to be on the show,
That's right.
that's good because I would have been a little upset about that. But okay, McDonald's or Whataburger?
I'm going to pick Whataburger.
All right. Okay, we can continue this conversation then. We're doing good. So
I love the orange and white.
well, that's awesome. Hey, yeah, that's true. That is so very true. So how far back in your life do you have your earliest memory? At what age are you like, I can remember back to what age?
Okay, so my brother is 3 years younger than me, 3.5 years younger than me, and I remember going to the hospital and picking him up.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's crazy. That's awesome.
It's just a single memory. I don't remember other stuff around that time, but I remember that single memory of my older brother and I not being in seatbelts in the back seat. I was 3, he was 4. Here's this little baby, and here we are just roaming around in the back seat.
That's super, super cool. So if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, one meal, it's all you can have for the rest of your life, what's it going to be?
Tacos.
I noticed there's a pattern here. You paused on a lot of those things. You didn't pause on the tacos.
No. Have you ever had Dairy Queen tacos?
Yes, I have.
Most amazing tacos ever.
Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. Okay, what do you think the world's going to look like in 50 years? 50 years from now, what do you think the world's going to look like?
Oh my goodness, 50 years from now, what is the world going to... I think everybody's going to have an electric car. I think the power grid will be able to sustain that in 50 years. I think they'll figure it out eventually. I don't think there'll be paper money anymore. I think everything will be electronic. In 50 years, you may even have a chip in your arm that reads everything instead of having to carry your cards around. I mean, I really think it's going to be... Everything's going to be electronic.
Wow, that's awesome. What's your favorite color?
Red.
What does that say about you?
Red is fun. Red is powerful. Red means business.
If I could go out right now and buy you anything that you want for your birthday, what would be the perfect gift for me to bring back for your birthday?
My birthday's in 3 weeks, so let's see. Anything?
So you're giving me time to figure out how to get this?
Do I have an unlimited budget? That's my first question.
You have an unlimited budget, but you can only choose one thing. What am I gonna go buy for Melissa Cromwell?
Probably a purse.
Oh wow!
I love bags. Any kind of bag or purse. I am the bag lady.
I like it. So now I don't personally have any, but I like the fact that that's something that you can respect, something that you enjoy. What? Any name brands? Anything like I kind of like this, or you just kind of like all over the place?
No, I'm a lover of any bag. It doesn't matter. Grace Bridge is my friend. I love to buy bags at Grace Bridge. I know the money's going towards something good, but I am just a bag person. I like that. So give me one thing in your life that you're afraid of. Snakes. So 2 things she didn't pause on: tacos and snakes. So I grew up in Kansas where there were a lot of rattlesnakes, and I am afraid of snakes. And when you were growing up, and everybody has these ideas, I'm going to grow up and be this, or I'm going to grow up and be that. What did you want to be when you were growing up? A teacher. Oh, good. Very good. That's very cool. What a great and very worthwhile passion, and obviously still very important to you. That was my major in college. I did my student teaching, and then decided I didn't want to do it. You decided you didn't want to do it. And my advisor in college was like, "You realize you're graduating in 5 months." And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't really want to be a teacher. Wow. Very, very awesome. So what's the best age to get married? Well, my daughter just got married, and she's 24. So 24, 25, I think that's it was good for her. She was ready. She's a teacher at Odell here in town, and she and her husband started dating when she was a freshman in high school. So I thought it was a perfect age for them to get married. And I'm having my first grandbaby in August, just an FYI. So nice. So when you became the president of the chamber and all of these things, COVID wasn't going on at that time. COVID came along kind of in the middle of that. So would you say that really impacted your job, or was COVID really not that impactful on what you do? Oh no, COVID impacted every way that we communicated with the businesses and finding out what their needs were. So when COVID happened, I myself decided, because the city started doing videos supporting local businesses, we were people like Dorothy Allen were creating apps so people could online order for these restaurants, and we did this shop local, keep local, community local campaign. So I decided I was going to call every business that was a chamber member and say, "How are you? What do you need?" Okay.
I like it.
After the 10th call, I couldn't do it anymore. The emotion and the constant crying, just hearing their stories about what was happening to them, I couldn't do it. The emotions for me was just too much. I just felt like we weren't able to do enough, that we were going to try to help them, but it just got me. So I called Corbett Howard and I said, "Corbett, I need your help. I have all these other businesses to call, but I can't do it. I have cried with every one of these people, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the rest." And he said, because the chamber was struggling as well. We didn't ask any of our members to pay their membership during COVID. So we were struggling as well. And I was like, I can't do it. So Corbett took that list and he called the rest of the members for me and said, "Melissa wanted me to call you. What do you need?" I think it's easier to ask for somebody else, "What do you need?" I was asking, "What can I do for you?" He was saying, "What can Melissa do for you at the chamber?" So he called every one of those businesses personally and took notes, what everybody needed, and got it to me. And we tried to help as many people as we could.
That's very, very awesome. And I like to pivot, take something really serious and then flip it into something kind of fun. So if you went home after this meeting, after we finish this podcast, you go home and there's a penguin in your house, what are you going to do about it?
I'm going to call Cody Webb.
Why Cody?
Because Cody is the master of all animals. I swear to God, I saw a mountain lion out by our house, and the first person I called was Cody. The animal was literally sitting in front of my car as I'm sitting in it, and I knew it wasn't a bobcat. It was still light enough out, and I was like, "There's no way this is a mountain lion or whatever." And I literally am hitting the button. I can't get my phone. Like, I'm in a panic. It's staring at me in the middle of the road. I hit the button, and I'm like, "Call Cody Webb." And he answers, and I'm like, there is literally like a mountain lion or something staring at me right now. So he knows everything about animals, and he's my go-to guy. And I would call Cody and say, "Cody, I have a penguin in my house."
Yeah, I have a penguin in my house. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
I would be like an evergreen or spruce, because I would love to be a Christmas tree.
Oh my gosh, isn't that awesome? Wouldn't that be great? And here's a question that I end with a lot, but I'm not going to end with you. I'm giving it to you in the middle, okay? So would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? So think about that for a second. One horse size, that's a big duck. One duck that size, or 100 duck-sized horses. Now you've got 100 little horses running around that are the size of a duck, and you have to fight one or the other. Which do you fight?
I grew up around geese that chased you, so I can't imagine a big duck chasing me. That would scare me to death. So I'll take the little horses.
You're going to go with 100 duck-sized horses.
Yes.
I like that. And since you're in the chamber, you can probably answer this one really well. So you've got to sell hot chocolate in Florida in the summer. How do you do it?
I could sell ice to an Eskimo. So it would be no problem.
How do you do it? What do you do?
I would have a fantastic booth set up, and people would just want to do it because I would say it was the best one. I would have the right price on it. I would probably wear some fun costume. People would just want to stop and see what I'm doing.
And then they're going to buy your hot chocolate.
Yes.
In the summer in Florida. So look around this room right now. You see this room. We're in this. There's a set from 1970s TV show that we were filming here. We've got our little podcast thing set up here. So you see this room. How many basketballs could we fit in here? The look on your face.
Couple thousand.
Couple thousand?
Yeah.
And you know, you're fairly confident in that.
I am.
And you know a lot about basketball size and room dimensions.
I played basketball. My kids all played basketball. My husband played basketball. Yeah, I got it. I know how many can go across the floor. I'm looking at that, up the wall. And yeah, I got it. A couple thousand.
If you delivered pizzas for a living, if that was your job, how could you benefit from scissors?
Scissors. Well, first of all, I would check to make sure, because you know how they don't always cut the pizza correctly.
Right.
So I would check them to make sure it's all cut. If not, I'd use the scissors to make sure all the slices are cut correctly.
That is such a reasonable answer. I like it. How lucky are you?
I don't believe in luck. I believe everything happens because you made it happen. I just don't believe in luck.
I like that. So if you could get rid of any one state in the country, which state leaves?
I'd have to think. See, my import-export, you know, what we import into Texas from other states, that's what I think about is stuff like that. What would Texas need from those other states in order to survive? So we can't get rid of those states. What state has nothing to offer us? That's what I think about.
Which one is that?
Oh my gosh.
You're going to make some people mad in that state, but they probably don't listen to Celina
Maybe
radio.
Pennsylvania. Oh, well, that's Hershey's chocolate. See, I couldn't do that. Maybe
She's so torn.
Connecticut.
Right now. Connecticut, because nothing good comes out of
Do
Connecticut.
they export anything out of Connecticut? I don't know. So there you go.
So Connecticut is gone.
Gone.
Oh man, that is funny. So I think that we've probably covered an awful lot of stuff. So I do want to end on one question for you. And that is, if you could go back in time and give your, let's say, 17-year-old self any advice, what advice would the Melissa Cromwell of today give to her 17-year-old self?
Save more money.
I think we can all benefit from that. So we're living in the most amazing city. We're blessed to be here. It's incredible, and we're very, very blessed to have you in the position that you're in. And folks, if you have not met Melissa, come down, meet her at the chamber, join the chamber, get involved in these events on the square, and just get involved in this community. Melissa Cromwell is a fantastic way to engage in this community. So guys, that is Melissa Cromwell. Guys, what did you think about Melissa Cromwell? She is such a happy person, and to be right in the middle of a political race and the president of the Greater Celina Chamber of Commerce, and to be involved in all of these events. There's so many events going on. She's very, very, very busy. I can hardly ever find a time to just talk to her for a second because she's always going 900 miles an hour. So the fact that she's so happy in the midst of all of this and living life on her own terms is a testament to who she is. And I think we're very blessed to have her in the city. I have no idea whether or not she's going to win her race, but we're still blessed in the city to have her here doing the job she's doing for this great city either way. I want to ask you this. What do you think about this music? I really, this is like some 80s jam. And so that's my stuff, right? 80s music. I love it. And I thought, you know what? We're going to go out on some 80s music today. You know why? Because we can. There's enough people out there. We get, I'm guessing we're around 1,500 to 2,000 listens every time a podcast drops. And the numbers go up. Many of them, it goes way up. It just kind of depends. But that's a lot of people. And when we survey the people, there's a lot of people who love 80s music. So why not? Why not? Somebody asked me on Facebook. They didn't ask me. They made kind of a comment, kind of an ugly comment, which is not uncommon from this person. They direct a lot of stuff towards me. But they said, "Where's your radio tower?" Because if I can find your radio tower, then I can find your supposed radio station, Celina Radio. I just want to say this. It's a podcast. I don't have a radio station. There's no radio tower. But there is some really good 80s music right now, so put a smile on your face. Know how blessed we are to live in this city. Know how amazing it is. You could end up living anywhere else in the world, but for some reason, God has chosen to put you right here in Celina, Texas. So let's lift ourselves up. Let's do better. Let's be better people. Let's remember that we're human beings first and political idiots way on down the list somewhere. So guys, look forward to that episode I've got coming up with the Mayor Sean Terry. It's going to be kind of eye-opening. I think you're going to be surprised. But until then, guys, as I always say, stay safe and God bless.